In my last video I was talking about testing and about writing testable code. So we've got functions that we can call and check the return values. And sometimes you need to rework your code. Here's an example of that. This is one of those guessing game things. You have to guess the number between 1 and 10. So if I run it, I guess my number 5, too high, 3, too high, 1 was too low. I failed. I didn't get it in 3 answers. It must have been 2. The only way I can test this program is by just running it, just like I just did. So I want to take some stuff into a function that I can then check that function works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this stuff in here and I'm going to put that into a separate caps locked function. And what that code does there is pretty much processes the user's guess each time. So I'm going to do that, and for now I'm just going to grab the whole lot. That's not the correct thing that I will need in this case, and we'll see why almost immediately, because it's not improved matters, because I still have this prompt inside this function, so I can't just call this function and have it automatically be tested. So my first action is to take this prompt back into the loop, and now I can call this function and do stuff. I can check that it gives the right answer. Or I kind of can. There is a problem still though, in that this function uses global values. So I've got usernum and compnum, and usernum and compnum are globals. So if I want to test this function, I need to set the value of those globals first, and that's just, it's just not very good at all. So I'm going to instead make these local variables. So I'm going to have an answer and a guess that is passed to this function, and I'm going to put them into the values here. So just a quick bit of and this one, if answer equals guess, and I think that will improve matters. And what that will now mean is I can now put a bit of testing in there. So I can say my testing, I can say process game, and I can call it with 3 as my guess and 5 as the correct answer. So then I can say in my in what I'm doing here, I can say this is expected to be too low. So expected is going to be an alert too low. So if I run the program now, nothing happened because I typed something in wrong, no doubt. Process game is not defined. Did I misspell something? Almost certainly. Process game, process guess. Let's try that again, shall we? And another error. Process rushing. More haste, less speed. One more time. Too low. So that's the correct. And then the rest of it is just the rest of that game. Do I love it? Well, at least I can write some more process guess stuff, but I don't like the fact that I get an alert each time. That's just tiresome. Also, what I don't like is that I'm touching another global variable here. Ideally, each function should do one thing and one thing only, and this is doing 2 things. It's giving me an alert, and it's also modifying the guesses variable. So I'm going to cut that out and put it down here, and I'm going to change this alert to return. And I'm going to do that for all of these. And then here in the process guess thing, did I actually put it here that it's supposed, when it calls the function, it's supposed to call it with the correct values? I don't think I did. Usernum and compnum are the values that it needs to give in order for them to work here. And at this point I'll also need to alert those answers. So what will happen now, instead of an alert, I'll just get an expected too low value. So this function now does an awful lot less than it did originally, but at least it's testable, and that's a step in the right direction. And there would be other ways of taking some of this other stuff out and making that testable as well. Final test to make sure it works. And I've got my guess my number program working here and checking. I've got I didn't get it too low. I must have done it wrong. I forgot to actually do a console.log of that, and that should now work. Done.